going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So a major Kaspa update for myself, key catalysts that are coming, where I see this network going. And of course, everyone is currently fixated on the price, which is in a bear market, but that's not the purpose of my video. The purpose of my video today is to show everybody what this could do in a full bull market. What are the key catalysts? What's going to happen here? And of course, why I continue to believe in this project. You don't have to, but I can tell you right now, compared to a lot of the proof of work currencies, take IP Story, for example. IP was launched with a $280 million raise at a valuation of $3.6 billion. And right now it pulls in a 24-hour revenue of just $1. Catastrophic. So when it comes to Kaspa's key components, and I think officially it is probably the most undervalued proof of work, pure proof of work cryptocurrency out there in the market. Market cap is sitting below $1 billion. We have a macro headwind in 2026. Okay, don't get hyped. Don't listen to the headlines. You know, the Fed may not pivot for a while, so you have an opportunity to do your research right now. But I'm going to bring you some key developments within Kaspa. One of the key fundamental issues is, for example, if you look at Arkham Intelligence, or if you look at DeFi Llama, or if you look at other metrics, you don't really get to see Kaspa's true value. Why? Because the programmability of that native layer is not there. Fantastic that Kaspa now has a bridge to over 100 different blockchains, which is going to improve with the likes of Solana being on board. But the problem has always been two. One, adoption. Two, DeFi. And that has always been the knock. The adoption and the DeFi, the lack of DeFi, lack of programmability. Kaspa is coming to the table with the faster than almost every other proof of chain or proof of work coin, but without smart contracts or the smart layer, it has to, or has so far, to our benefit, stayed in its own lane. Now, there is a major catalyst called the Toccata Hard Fork, which is going to be pretty interesting. And there are several key things that you need to know about this. Essentially, what you're looking at is the Kaspa's first native smart contracts on the main network layer. Okay, right now 10 blocks per second will also have the opportunity and the ability to even get faster. Okay, we're talking about 30 blocks, 32 blocks per second, eventually going into 100 blocks per second. So that date is set for June, and of course at testnet they've been scoring some pretty good scores for the network. Of course, we have native KRC20 token transfers. That's going to add value to the TVL. Like I said to you, if you're looking at DeFi Llama or Arkham or any other, you know, they should soon start to pick up the Kaspa true DeFi on the layer one. Okay, so why is Kaspa interesting all of a sudden? To most people, they only look at what the price is doing right now, especially in a bear market. It's difficult. But where can Kaspa go from here? And in my opinion, I've highlighted some problems, but I want to give you the solutions, what Kaspa is doing about these solutions. So if we look at the current problems right now, like I said, hard fork on the 5th of June and the 20th of June will introduce the Kaspa Covenants. That's going to be the native programmable layer. We're talking about the enforceable transaction rules and stateful peer-to-peer applications directly on the base layer, not stupid or parasitic layer twos. No centralized compromises. With a SilverScript as well being deployed, the KIPs for the ZK opcodes have already been finalized, and Kaspa is becoming an infrastructure powerhouse, at least on testnet. That's what's happening. The native army, which is a massive family over there on X and other communities, Reddit, which is where I discovered Kaspa, that actually becomes an attraction. So the real utility right now is going to be this hard fork is going to be, this upgrade is going to be quite significant for Kaspa moving forward. And that should be attracting smart money and big whales. You know, we talked about in the past, the likes of Grayscale, of course. You have the Nakamoto consensus, decentralized security, but fundamentally limited by slow and linear throughput. Then you've got high-speed programmable L1 that has, you know, achieved proof of stake, you know, centralization, and you know that's the problem, right? You know, they're fast, but they're centralized and they're vulnerable, and that has been the way it's been since crypto has been here. So layer one evolution, and I think you need to pay attention to this because ultimately, Kaspa is going to combine elements of Bitcoin, elements of even Solana, and of course, block DAG can be upgradable in terms of the TPS per seconds. So imagine having a centralized, decentralized network that is now all of a sudden proof of work and that is performing almost like Solana, right? I think the target of 32,000 TPS per minute to 100 is going to challenge a lot of the established proof of stake without having those proof of stake problems. Currently, Bitcoin is 7 TPS. Ethereum proof of stake is about 15 TPS. Solana 65, and that's going to be the global state. And I think that's why Solana will have a massive stablecoin ability over any other network. But this is where the proof of work standard is being set. Okay. So Ghost DAG, I mean, I don't need to bore you with this, but I just understand the technology we're dealing with is basically the Nakamoto consensus, but it allows up to 18 parallel blocks to coexist in order to order them mathematically, right? So this is the purest form of, and again, you know, if you want to see Ghost DAG, Block DAG, look at referrals or references by Vitalik and of course also Charles Hoskinson previously, okay? The parameters are set. So Bitcoin's 10 minutes. This is going to be, this hard fork is going to have what's called adaptive block ordering. So it's going to be no hard-coded limits, infinite scalability, and uncompromised security. But we're only looking for what's going on right now, okay? So far, it's processed 2 billion transactions. So the put-through is not a problem anymore. Again, remember I talked about the native layer and adoption. 10 blocks per second, going to 32, going to 100. It's going to be key. And of course, community and noise is very important in cryptocurrency. I don't think Kaspa has, you know, Kaspa suffers from that department. So this upgrade here in June is going to have native assets, okay? It supports vaults, token distribution logic, escrow, all of that. ZK ready, introducing ZK verification to validate external computation and no performance loss. It maintains on testnet so far at the 10 blocks per second. Okay. So in terms of the, and then again, you know, we can go to more details about these smart contracts and these paradigms, but all you have to know is right now it sits in a completely different space to most of the other proof of work layer ones or proof of work cryptocurrencies with its speed, with its ability to handle large volumes of transactions. Bitcoin's the gold standard. Kaspa is the silver to the gold. And of course, we already know what's happened to gold and silver. So a lightweight rollup bringing Ethereum style smart contracts is the Kasplex. Kaspa L1, of course. Then we have, for example, Gate.io, which integrated that L2 open and direct bridge to move Kaspa into EVM compatible DeFi. But with the upgrade, I think that's going to get even better. So it's going to be, for me, the sovereign financial engine. I think this is something to pay attention to. Settlement is going to be quite key. Of course, how many of you have withdrawn Bitcoin from your wallet and just put your hand on your heart, just, you know, saying, you know, how quick can it arrive if you need to pay for something, right? So listen, Bitcoin is the most secure, most decentralized. That's the gold standard. But look at the glow and references I'm making to that level of protocol. Okay. So at the end of the day, Kaspa is trying to solve a major problem. And I think we may just start to see where that problem is going to be solved in the near future. All I know is this: when largely big money is absent, when you have the Kaspa payments and other things all becoming quite readily available, when the supply is reaching critical mass, right? Long-term holders, this is an area where you'd see here, you've got, obviously, you've got this graph here, you've got the Kaspa price, but look at the long-term holders. You know, it's staying pretty consistent. And I think, you know, that's all you need to worry about, in my opinion. Market price is secondary here. Short-term holders are not really where the price appreciation is going to happen. I think price appreciation happens over time, over convictions, over cycles. And now that brings me to where I do believe Kaspa's price is going to go in the future. We have to ask ourselves, will Kaspa in the future be equal to, or at least be worth as much as Cardano? Okay. And the answer to that question will be how well, obviously, the current, the upgrades go, the adoption goes. There's already a new mining equipment coming out with the mining giant, and currently 10x just to go to where Cardano is, right? Cardano's market cap is $9 billion. If Kaspa goes there, 9.7x is where you're probably looking for. But in the long term, I'm looking at $100 billion target for this. And dare I say this, the price is almost 100x. Now, we may not get there, okay? I don't like these fanciful Hollywood numbers, but let's divide that into 2 or 3. Let's even say 25, 30x, whatever. Let's say to $1. I think that's doable. I think that is relatively doable in a reasonable amount of time. Even if you look at, for example, the likes of Link, Chainlink's all-time high is 23x from here. So that was around, I believe, $22 billion. Even if it goes to $22 billion, you're making significant amounts of gains. And that's the way you need to approach this, in my opinion. But what I've shown you today should be enough for you to actually understand, investigate, and try to accumulate in your own time, and not financial advice. No doubt, a lot of people will sell you a lot of meme coins. You will not be around in these markets for long enough to see Kaspa going to $1. But if you do have the nerve, I think you should be able to investigate, do your research, and take advantage of your knowledge. Smash a like, guys. It's been a good video. Take care. I'll catch you on the next one.